Guess what, everybody? We got another amazing guest here today that I just met recently on a blab, and his name is Dan Henry, and I'm excited to learn more about him here today. He's from Tampa, Florida, and I'll tell you what, when I watched him on the blab, this guy was full of determination, full of energy, and straight out an entrepreneur. And he's here today to share his story with us. It's an amazing story. I've heard just a little bit of it in a text, but he's been bugging me for a couple days now, and I've been bugging him, and we're just both freaking fired up to share a lot of news with you guys here today. So Dan, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about who you are and all the good stuff, and we'll jump right into it.
Sure, great. I'm happy to be on. Well, I'm honestly, I'm just like a comic book reader. I was several years ago. I think it was five or six years ago at this point. I was delivering pizza in Chicago. I moved to Chicago and I was delivering pizza, playing in a band, just living that, like, I guess you could say loser life. At least that's what everybody told me at the time. And that's what I felt like,
right.
So I would get, at that point in my life, I was getting excited over getting a $10 tip, which didn't happen very often, but sometimes people were generous. So I would deliver the pizza, get a $10 tip. And that was like my success story for the day. And, I got a little sick of people telling me that I had pipe dreams, because I always had these big dreams, like I was going to learn online marketing, or I was going to be a rock star or whatever. And it was always met with stuff like, you're just a kid, you don't know what you're doing and all that. And really, a lot of what fueled me was kind of anger and resentment, because I knew that I had talent, but nobody else would give me
they wouldn't give you credit. They wouldn't give any credit.
They wouldn't give me credit, and they wanted me to go to, like my parents wanted me to go to college and all this. And I thought college was BS. I still think college is BS, but I went to make them happy, ended up getting in debt, and it ended up doing nothing for me. And I dropped out because I was making too much money at the time when I was in. But what happened was I decided I wanted to learn internet marketing, because I saw these kids who are making, everything from really complex companies to the Pixel website, the guy that made $1 million with the Pixel thing, and I'm just like, I gotta do this. So I pretty much just stuck myself on the computer until I figured it out. And it took a while. And when I started my first blog, I was delivering pizza, and 14 months later, I was making $30,000 a month with my blog profit.
I just want to point out, everybody, that if you guys are watching this on video, I just want to point out that this guy took the time to set his background up. I'm going to ask this question. I may be wrong, I may be right, but did you even take that shirt to match your background with the red on the shirt?
You can't give me that much credit.
Okay.
I just like Jurassic Park, and I will never dress. I don't care how much money you offer me or what I'm doing, or if I'm on CNN. I will never dress a way I don't want to dress. Like, that's part of my entrepreneur lifestyle.
Right.
Is I make money. I still sleep till noon sometimes. I don't use professional terms, and I don't dress professional, and that's the way I like it, and that's the way I created my life, so I could do that. But no, this is actually I built
a studio.
I built a studio in my house. It's got a double wall construction, vocal booth, and I've got 1176s and Avalons and Apogees. Some people spend their money on cars and boats and women, and and I spend it on audio gear and guitars. I got a 1957 Les Paul. I spend my money on that stuff. That's what makes me happy. That's what I geek out on.
As you can see, I'm a geek too. I got the fancy mics and everything, and but it's so important. And I know I'm releasing a course right now on manufacturing celebrity status, and literally, people, you have to manufacture what you are and who you are, and it resonates and creates a new life for you that's going to expand far beyond the standard person. You heard him talk earlier about how everybody's just kind of making fun of him, and in the end. Excuse me. In the end, it's really them realizing that this guy has talent, and I'm sort of jealous. I want to do what he's going to do, and he has the guts to go outside his comfort zone and actually go and do something, is really what that ends up coming down to. So if you see people out there going, you need to get a job, you need to do this, don't be offended. Be complimented, because it's happening more and more where people just they are so comfortable in the standard lifestyle that allows you to have the money you need to just get by, allows you to have the insurance you need to just get by, the lifestyle, the house, the car, everything. And that's commendable in itself, because that's a lot of work just to even stay in that zone. But people like Dan here today love to take it outside their comfort zone and take things to new levels. And I can tell you just from this video, this guy is not your normal guy. He's an entrepreneur.
Well, I try to be. I mean, that's the lifestyle I like to live, but you know, it doesn't come without its ups and downs.
Absolutely not. And I know that.
And yeah, and my confidence, you know, I've always had confidence, but sometimes it's misplaced. You know, like when I was making that money, I was relying on things like SEO and things like that, and I made a mistake putting my confidence in that, because when that Google crash happened and all that, I lost that entire stream of income. It all went away. I had some money that I had made, so I went and I kind of got fed up with internet marketing when I opened up a couple nightclubs. They became successful. I sold them. I flipped them for a profit. And then I decided, you know what, I've had enough working in the real entrepreneurial world. I want to go back to the virtual one where I could sit on my butt.
Yeah.
So I learned Facebook ads. And that's what did it for me was, you know, at that point, I was literally stepping back in as somebody new, because you know, I had learned SEO, I learned blogging, and then I'm stepping back in. That's all gone now. I don't even trust that anymore, at least the SEO part. So now I got to learn something new, something where I don't have to rely. I can create income or business or sales or leads on demand, and that's why I spent so much time geeking out on Facebook ads. Finally learned them, got them down, and now I have just ridiculous results with them, and that's where I'm at now. And I've got my income stream and then some back, and I'm paid off debts that I had, and I'm back where I want to be.
You know, which leads me to a very interesting question I want to ask here. And it's probably one of the most important questions I've asked on my podcast is, you've gone through business after business after business, and obviously times and climates change in businesses, and you've continually gone on to the next thing and become successful in it. I mean, obviously Facebook ads is not going to last forever. It's going to change just like Google did and everything else. But you're able to adapt, right? You're able to adapt. And yes. I mean, you went from a nightclub, from pizzas to, so, I mean, you're not afraid of adapting. Can you give some advice out there to people? Right. But it's second nature to you. But what about those people out there that just like, you know, they just get bummed because all of a sudden they're making $1 million and they go down to 30 grand in a year. I mean, it's happened to me. It's happened to you. How do you tell these people, how do I bounce back from this? What's the mentality or where are they going to look to find that next level of drive?
It's definitely
right?
mentality. It's definitely mentality. And I'll give you two pieces of advice that I think are worth $1 million to me. Okay. Right. I wish I would have paid $1 million to know this stuff years ago, because as you go through ups and downs, the intervals between those ups and downs get lower and lower as you learn. Right. And eventually you just have ups. Okay. And you make less mistakes and less mistakes and less mistakes, hopefully. And one of the mistakes that I made early on, and that when I do business coaching, I pound this into my students' head, is two things. Number one, your promise. You have to have a promise to your customer. People don't think about this. Like, people, 9 times out of 10, when I ask someone, what do? They give me this huge, long explanation. Like 3-paragraph explanation. It should be, you know, like for instance, mine is, I help struggling entrepreneurs learn how to get more leads and sales with Facebook ads without becoming a tech wizard. Right. End of story. Okay. My courses, my coaching, or my ad management, that's what I do. You know, if I'm selling t-shirts because I own a t-shirt company, I would say I provide geeks and nerds with premium t-shirts that don't wear out. Whatever. You just say it and then you do it. And another thing is, a lot of people, I view entrepreneurs in 2 ways. You have visionaries, and then you have entrepreneurs. And the visionaries are usually the ones that fail, and the entrepreneurs are the ones to succeed. Because you have to understand that it's not about what you want. To give you an example, when I started my nightclub, I wanted to start a nightclub. It's not like I did that just because the nightclubs made money. I wanted to do it. When I first started it, I did jazz nights. I did these things that just weren't working. You know, people would come in, have one drink because they were like 70 years old. They wanted to listen to jazz and they left. I didn't make any money. So I switched gears as soon as I recognized it, and I turned it into my town's #1 party bar. It had like a cruise ship vibe. I didn't have to change much, and I made tons and tons of money. And you can't just stick to your vision. Okay, you have to realize it's not about your vision. It's about what your customers want. And if what your customers want is not your vision, you simply have to change it and not whine about it. You just got to do it.
There you go. And that speaks a lot, everybody. If you kind of really, I want you to rewind this, because what he said is exactly true. It's and you're hearing it and seeing it here. And I mean, this guy has done several different things and he's changed his level. And I want to encourage you to tell people because you're not what you just said you were. You're not a Facebook marketer. You are a entrepreneur, right? That adapts to different things that you love to do in your life, and it happens to making you money. I think that's more what you are. So if people ask you who you are, and you say, "I'm an entrepreneur that capitalizes on things that I like to do and increase my income by that." That's really what you are, because
that's who I am.
You were a nightclub.
If you ask me who I'm serving in that particular instance, like for instance, what I'm doing for this company, I would say, let's say, for instance, I do a lot of Facebook ad management for real estate companies and condos. Okay. Yep. So I would say I help real estate developments get super low cost leads that convert into sales with Facebook ads. I would just say it. I wouldn't go, well, what I can help you do is I can help you blah, 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 and just make it this bit. I would just say it in one sentence. End of story. And then I would take what I said and I would make it a reality. If you can't say it in one sentence, it's too complicated to ever work.
Right. But for me, looking out, I see this Dan Henry guy is just right now. It just happens to be Facebook, but you're gonna be dominating at anything you do. So you're this human being that can actually understand something and make it relate to somebody and help them make money. I mean, that's you're the core of an entrepreneur here. I don't mind. Excuse me for complimenting on you, but I mean, that's what you really are. You're a really talented human.
I try.
Yeah, you're a talented human being, and that's great that you can just go into anything like Facebook. I mean, I could pick something right now and say, hey, Dan, I want you to do this in the next 6 months, and you'd probably be very successful at it. And you would, like you said, you would take that nightclub and switch it into a piano bar or this and that. You'd take Facebook and convert the ads to be so you're just, you're a person that goes into a market, realizes it, understands it, picks it apart, finds the pieces that work and put it together, and it happens to make you money.
I mean, that's a great description. Exactly. Yeah. And you can't let things get in your way. Most people fail because they let things get in their way, not because they don't have potential. So if you say, well, like for instance, if I said, well, I want that disco light to be here instead of there, so I'm going to pay somebody $100 to move it. What I would ask myself is, will me moving that disco ball make any more liquor pour? If the answer is yes, then I would do it. If the answer is no, then I wouldn't. I'm like, for instance, I like rock and metal. I never played rock and metal in my club because nobody will come and drink. I played all that popular top 40 stuff, which I hate, but I played it because that's what made drinks sell. So I try not to be a visionary. I try to be more analytical and find out what sells and what customers enjoy, because it's about them and not me. And yes, of course, I like to adapt, and I try to every time, and I try to make less mistakes each time, because everybody's made a lot of mistakes. I have, and I want to make less. But the thing I want to do now more than anything is, I had my best month ever last month. I broke $100,000 in income last month. Okay.
Isn't that amazing?
It was amazing. It was, here's the thing. There were some things that happened that were like, a lot of good things happened at once.
Right. Aligned, of course.
I got a large check from my nightclub that I sold because there was still a lien on it, and he paid off the lien. Plus I made a bunch with my course that I launched, my Facebook Ads for Entrepreneurs course. So it was a lot of things that happened at once. Right. It was a really, really good month. And here's the thing, though. I worked my butt off that month. Harder than I've worked in a long time. So my goal right now is not necessarily to make money, but to make the same or even a little less, around the same amount of money, but with much less work. That's my personal goal right now. I'd rather make 75 and work this much than make 100 and work this much, because what are you working for? You're working to be free to enjoy your life. If you can't enjoy your life, what's the point?
Right.
So
I'm gonna be one of the first people to raise their hand in the fact that I go more on the visionary side of things versus the other side, like you're talking about. So I'm guilty as charged in that. And this is something, actually, it's amazing because I'm now trying to draw people into my life to change that perspective. And here I am now on a podcast listening to you tell me exactly what I need to do and affirm what I need to do. Is I need to focus on the end goal. The light doesn't need to go over there if it's not going to pour. Don't waste your time. That's $100. That's 15 drinks you have to sell, Dennis, to put a light over there for what, right? I want to put a light over here that's going to get me 20 drinks, and instead of 10. So I'm learning that personally. And if you're out there listening or watching, it's important to understand exactly what he's saying there. There's a difference between a visionary and an entrepreneur. I'm learning something. I hope you learned something here today. There's a difference. There's a difference why he got a check for $100,000, or not one check, but created $100,000 in 1 month, is because he's got his eye on the ball, making money. Because in the end, we can give back, and we all do it anyway, but you got to make money.
Yeah. And that's, and don't feel bad, because I went through that. That is a hard thing to change. It's a hard, and what happens is once you finally try it and you see that it works, then it becomes a lot easier. And you're I don't care. Yeah, you're like, I don't care about that. I mean, I remember little businesses I started when I would try to start these little businesses when I was younger, and I'm like, oh, we should start a production company for rock bands. That's a horrible idea. You will make no money, but because I liked it, it's something I thought I wanted to do. Thank God I didn't do it. But that's the point, is it's not about what you want. And some people will say, well, so should I just do this business over here that I have no interest in to make money? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is whatever you choose, you can choose that market, that industry, but adapt to it and do it in a way which allows you to live free and make money, and allows your customers to get what they want. And the secret to sales, I've always said, is not convincing someone to buy something. It's simply finding people already ready to buy.
There you go. So, you know who you remind me of right now? A gentleman named Gene Simmons. You've heard of him?
Wait, you mean like Kiss?
Gene Simmons, yes.
Yeah.
The reason I say that is, I don't know if you have some time, and if you out there have some time, you can buy it in audio or you can buy it in book. He came out with a book called Me Inc. And Kiss was actually one of the things he did in his life, but he never looked at Kiss as being the most amazing rock singers in the world. And I remember back then when I was like bragging about Kiss, like, oh man, they suck at music. And I was like, no, they're great. But even Gene Simmons admits that he barely could play the bass, but he understood business to where it'd make money. Yeah. But he was not out to be a bass player. He said Kiss was a business for him. And to this day, Kiss is one of the biggest money makers in the history of rock. Yeah. To this day, I mean, 2016, they still have plenty of stuff they're selling. Absolutely. They go on tour. It's the best show you ever seen. If you ever haven't seen them on tour, it's absolutely amazing. But he said, my eye was on the business, right? And we wore costumes for the business. We did this for the business. We brand and trademarked our things, and so on and so forth. And you reminded me of them, because that's where you're at. Yeah. I like that. It's
ironic because I'm a rock musician. That's what I was in college for, was music and recording arts. The funny thing about that is there's only one aspect of life which I won't do. I won't take the advice I just gave you, and that's music. Like, I write what I want to write, at one point I was all like, yeah, let's write songs that people love and sell records. But then I was like, you know what? I can make more money doing what I do, and then I can, on my own time, write the music I love. So for that one particular thing, for me,
that's vision.
I'm a visionary in that, and it's a good thing I never went with that as my main thing. But I mean, it's absolutely true. I know hundreds of musicians. I've been fortunate enough to work in some big studios from time to time on the side, and work with some big artists. And oftentimes the best musicians, the best technical musicians, will be the worst songwriters, and the worst musicians will be the best songwriters. Like, look at Kurt Cobain. No one would ever say that guy was one of the best guitarists ever. No one would ever say that, but he wrote songs that changed an entire style of music, and like shifted a decade from hair and makeup on guys to ripped pants, all like single-handedly. So I mean, that is definitely true in music, I believe.
Absolutely, totally. So with that said about who you are, I mean, sure, you're a Facebook master of ads. I mean, we're not going to question that, and I respect that. But I think you're more than that. What can you give to my audience as some advice on how they can take anything that's put in front of them, obviously the downside and the big side, and how they can conquer it continually? Because you've proved it over and over and over again. What are some thoughts you can put in their heads as a closer here? Because we're already at the end. What can you give them of value that you have learned over the years of trial and tribulation?
I would say this. I would say find something you're interested in or that you're good at and figure out a problem that you can solve. Make sure it's a problem that people actually have and not that you think they have. That's the biggest problem that people have. They people have this problem. Or no one's ever done this. I'm going to be unique. That's the worst idea because now you're taking a complete gamble. Okay,
That's
if it's
me.
something people have already done and it's a proven product or a proven concept, well, now you're ahead of the game. One thing though that I personally like, I like to get into industries that have a high failure rate. Even my own father told me, he said, "Why are you opening a nightclub?" And in Florida, bars and restaurants have a 95% failure rate. And my response was, well, that means only 5% of my competition I actually have to worry about. That's how I look at it. I don't look at it like I have a 95% chance of failure. I look at it as I have 95% of the people I'm going against are of no consequence. They're not very good at what they do. So this is going to be easy. And when you can give somebody a product or a service or something that solves their problems or fulfills them in a way, make sure that it actually fulfills them and it's not what you want. And, ask these people, find out the language. Like if you're creating some sort of business product and you see that people never use the phrase increase ROI. Like let's say you on your sales page or on your mission statement, you want to say, help increase ROI with this. If the people who are potentially buying from you never actually say that, they say things like make more money, instead of increase ROI, then don't say increase ROI, say make more money. Because now you're speaking in a language that your potential customers speak in and it connects with them much more. And I would say the biggest takeaway is, do not try to offer something that you want. Try to offer something that your potential customers want, and don't guess. Go out, talk to them, buy them a drink, sit them down for lunch, talk to them. Talk to 5 or 6 people, and you'll notice. You don't have to talk to 20 people, 30 or 40. You'll notice. You're going to see recurring themes and things that people care about, and then you need to create a product that can address each one of those concerns and cares. Otherwise, don't create the product, don't bother with it. Move on to something else until it meets that criteria. That way you're not wasting your time. That way before you even launch, you already pretty much know it's going to work.
Awesome. You heard him, everybody. Dan Henry here today. I've learned so much, and Dan, I truly have. This is not making this up. And I'm sure my audience has learned a lot here from you, and I'm sure you have a lot to give to the universe going forward. I'm excited to see more, and hopefully we stay in touch and keep in communication, because I love what you're doing. I love what your message is, and I love what you're showing and other people to do and the possibilities. And I'm excited to have you on the show here today. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. I was ecstatic to come on. I had a great time.
Awesome. Everybody, Dan Henry here on the 5-Minute Bark. One critical thing highly successful people do is organize their goals and write them down. Success doesn't just happen to you, it's created by you. If you are ready to create a roadmap to greater success, you may want to listen to what I'm about to say. We have developed an online success platform that offers 6 critical tools for creating and implementing your success plan. If you're ready to turbocharge your personal development and success in every area of your life, it's time for you to join Team Cody Dog by visiting CodyDog.com. That's CODIEDOG.com.